metropolitan trend.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February 21st workshop. We have special guests tonight from NIMTIC and Rutgers, and we will turn over the evening to them. Miriam, all of this talk about in person, we have exactly one human in the room with us here. So there are three trustees for our in-person quorum in keeping with open meeting laws tonight. Trustee Freimark is traveling and is joining us on the phone, and Trustee Woods is home doing childcare and just joining us by phone. Any announcements? We have one important one. There is a sewer issue on the top of Wall Street, the portion of Wall Street that runs between Marion and 9D. For safety purposes, it has been closed until the infrastructure issue can be addressed there. Local traffic can pass, but please avoid it as much as possible until we can be sure that roadway is secure, and then we can address the issues underneath. Any other announcements? Any next item is opportunity to add or modify agenda items. Any changes? Okay, so then we'll head right into our main selection this evening. So last summer, I had a meeting with the Director of Transportation and the then Acting Commissioner of Planning for the county, who let us know that the county had membership in NIMTIC, and this was not a resource that was known to us as a board. It was certainly not a resource that had been used in the past by the municipality, and so we decided we would take full advantage and reach out to NIMTIC regarding a program that Miriam and others are going to tell you about this evening, looking at pedestrian and traffic ways in our village, intersections that are within the village's control, to get a sense of ways that we can manage our own traffic and pedestrian concerns, and eventually talk about how we might fund projects that come out of our public discussion. So with that, I would ask the folks from NIMTIC and Rutgers to introduce themselves and tell the public about the board and the public about the program. Eliza and I have been sort of more closer to this project than others. So the purpose of tonight is to bring the board up to speed and give an introduction about what happens next.
Yeah, not everybody knew what NIMTIC stands for.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, good evening. Do we want to, I guess, put up the deck, and I'll do a quick introduction and then pass it over?
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening. My name is David Dritz, and I'm the project manager at the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council for the Community Planning Workshop Program. I'm here to provide a quick overview of who we are, who we've worked with, and how we can work together on identifying transportation issues and improvements in your village. Next slide, please. NIMTIC is the Metropolitan Planning Organization for New York City, Long Island, and Lower Hudson Valley. Our Community Planning Workshop Program has benefited numerous local communities on Long Island and the Lower Hudson Valley by helping them identify potential projects that promote sustainable improvements in villages, towns, and neighborhoods. These improvements are part and parcel of the regional planning process undertaken by our members as part of the development of NIMTIC's Regional Transportation Plan moving forward. Our goal is to get projects built, and the planning work done in the service of the Community Planning Workshop Program helps expedite localities' applications for federal or state funding. To help discuss, to help to lead in discussion, I will pass the baton to Miriam Salerno, who's the Director of Public Outreach Engagement Team at Rutgers, who with her team will take you through our process. Miriam?
Great, thank you, David. So as the mayor said, we met quite a number of months ago initially to talk about what are some issues in Cold Spring that the Community Planning Workshop Program might be able to help all of you address. So as David said, projects can cover a wide range of transportation and community planning goals, but in collaboration with the mayor, we identified some goals to reduce traffic, to maintain residential quality of life and movement around the village, to offer shuttle services that are consistent and reliable for residents and tourists that can reduce congestion in the village, foster a welcoming environment for pedestrians of all ages and abilities, and reduce traffic in the historic downtown, particularly along Main Street. Main Street. So these are a little wordy, but as the mayor said, we really are looking at ways to reduce traffic, allow more free movement of pedestrians, vehicles, and accounting for the influx of tourism that you guys get, especially during those peak times. So what we do, keeping those goals in mind, we walk you through some workshop preparations. And I should state clearly that, this is a pretty short-term engagement. We go through sort of a few formulaic steps with each of the communities that we work with to prepare for ultimately a community planning workshop. So what we like to do in the beginning is develop what we call a story map, and my colleague Kate is going to walk us through that in a minute. And that story map is a tool that can help visualize some of the current problem areas in Cold Spring and help foster kind of open conversation about ways to address the problems. That story map is then paired with a community survey where we send it out to all of the residents. Visitors are welcome to take the survey, local business owners, to sort of get their feedback about some of these problem areas that we've identified in collaboration with Mayor Foley. So the story map is basically like a project website that like its name, it kind of helps to tell a story about different places. So there's an example here of one that we recently did in Valley Stream, and we have our draft story map that we'll show you in a minute for the village of Cold Spring. What you'll see when Kate shares the story map is that working with Mayor Foley, we identified some very specific items and areas of interest that we want to get feedback on from the community. We have the Main Street and Visitor Center intersection here, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, this kind of awkward dead end that causes some traffic backup. We have the Market Street and Lund Terrace intersection, Fair Street that has, is in high demand for parking, and the intersection of 301 and 9D. And so these are locations where, it is dangerous for pedestrians or where there are traffic concerns. And we also want to ask through this survey some questions about trolley service, because we understand that this is a county resource that maybe can be better utilized in Cold Spring to shuttle people in and out of the high traffic tourist hotspot areas in the downtown and nearby trails. So I'm going to quickly turn it over to Kate Hetty. She's the geographer on our team from the Public Outreach and Engagement team at Rutgers, and she has led the development of the story map. And Kate, if you're, do you want me to pull it up on my screen, or do you want to pull it up on your screen to just give a quick orientation?
You can pull it up on yours since you already have it.
Great.
Yeah.
I have it right here. Okay.
Okay, great. Sure. Hi everyone. Like Miriam said, my name is Kate. And I worked on the story map to share this to share the community workshop and the topics of the workshop with the folks of Cold Spring. So you'll go to this website and then you can start scrolling. Yeah. So we start with an introduction. It's talking about NIMTIC. It's talking about what this website does, which is where we'll learn about the existing conditions, what we want to do for improvements, and how the community can get involved. So we start with the existing conditions. This is looking at sorry, this should be sorry, I got turned around. So we start with the areas that we identified with Mayor Foley, so folks can scroll through them to see the different sites. The first was Main Street. This is Market Street and Line Terrace, Fair Street, the intersection of 301 and 9D, and the trolley. So folks will be able to see that these are some of the areas that we're identifying. We then get into some of the existing conditions through mapping. So here is a map that shows typical traffic for we used the fall of 2022
On a Saturday,
on a Saturday.
so you can see how congested it is.
Yeah, to show the congestion. If you want to go to the next. This is a map that shows some of the open spaces, so some of the places that folks are trying to access when they're in Cold Spring, which, you know, is causing a lot of your congestion. And yeah, keep going. And then in this section, we talk about the areas for potential improvements for safety, for more walkability, and yeah, for pedestrian safety and for the quality of life of the residents. Then folks are prompted to take a survey. I don't know. Yeah, if you want to click on it.
Oh, you know what? This isn't the beginning because I was in the survey already. And so it's like, how do I delete my cookies? Oh wait, I can go back. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't expect it to save my spot. Okay,
yeah,
this is
so
the
folks
first page,
start
right?
the survey, it will save their spot.
Exactly. The feature.
Yeah. So we ask if you're a resident and if you're a business owner. So when we collect information, we can see who's saying what. And basically we go through each of those 5 identified areas, the 4 intersections, as well as the trolley, and ask folks pretty broad questions about their experiences, you know, their experiences with drivers, their experiences walking in these areas. So it's a pretty open-ended. And then we ask about the trolley, who's using it, where they're going and what feedback they have. And then we have some open-ended questions for people to bring up other areas of concern.
So
Specifically
anything that's not covered by these areas, that the identified areas that they just want to have a chance to voice.
Yeah, and then we have some optional demographic questions as well.
And yeah, thank you, Kate. That's and we can, you know, answer some questions about this after we go through the presentation, if for any of the trustees that have questions. So this story map, am I still sharing my screen?
Yes.
I am. Okay. Sorry. Just let me put this back.
Yep.
Okay. So what we do with the story map and survey is it gives us an opportunity to kind of take the pulse of the community and get some initial feedback from them on these identified issues. We collect the survey results, analyze them, you know, look in the survey for opportunities that, you know, other things that folks may have identified that could be good topics for conversation in the workshop. We also do, you know, use our expertise as planners to look at the problems that are identified and try to come up with some potential solutions. So between the time the survey closed and the time we have our workshop, we've really put a lot of processing of information in and put some real expertise and brain power into trying to identify some potential solutions. And then we come together in a community planning workshop. We're still sort of deciding what kind of format to have for this workshop. It'll either be virtual or hybrid, where folks will have an opportunity to be at town hall in person and will be online. And we go through the survey results, and then we take the community through a facilitated discussion of some of the potential solutions that we've identified to get deeper level feedback from them on what might be done. So it really is kind of a collaborative discussion. Here's just some screenshots from our virtual workshops in Valley Stream. You know, we like to use this tool called Jamboards, which is like a virtual sticky board with Post-it notes. people can type their ideas in and pop them up on the screen. We open up the floor for conversation. So the workshop will be staffed by, multiple facilitators. Somebody is leading the discussion out loud. Somebody is managing the chat. Somebody is taking notes. We really try to create an atmosphere where anybody can participate in the level that they're comfortable. We know that not everybody is comfortable speaking out loud in meetings. It's not, some people are very shy. Some people prefer to use the chat or would prefer to type in their own Post-it notes. So this really gives a nice flexible format and allows us to facilitate a really high quality conversation. And, using the Jamboard just sort of memorializes the meeting in a really nice way that makes it easier for everyone afterwards to look back and reflect on the conversation. So as I said, just kind of want to go over the overview of the support that Cold Spring is getting from Rutgers and NMTIC. So we, as you can see, developed the draft story map and community survey. These are both still in draft form. So any of the trustees that have thoughts or want to, request any changes to it or take some time to look at it in more detail, we welcome your input. And we will then publicize the story map and get it out there into the community. We'll cover all of the workshop logistics and content, set up any registration platforms, set up the meeting on Zoom, do all of the collateral that's necessary, provide facilitators and agendas, etc. Like I said, we'll promote both the story map and the workshop to the community. And then afterwards, we will prepare for you a workshop summary and report of findings. And now the report that you'll get at the end is really not a workshop report. It really is a technical assistance report. So we are going to take the results from the workshop and the survey and use that to inform recommendations for changes that that Cold Spring might want to consider implementing, and some funding vehicles for you to have the ability to actually implement the changes. So what we need from you, and Mayor Foley has already been very helpful in providing a lot of this along the way, sharing any relevant background materials, reports, or other kind of local context that you think is important to inform the recommendations and provide some color to what is going on in the community. We've really gotten quite a lot of that already from you guys. Any assistance you can provide in distributing information to the public, if you have municipal email lists or social media to help get the word out, participating in the event. And I know, and Mayor Foley, we talked about this too, because of the open public meeting laws, all of the trustees cannot be there because that would trigger sunshine laws. But we would love to have whatever representation we can, and as well as any professional staff that could attend the workshop. So a lot of times we'll get questions, even though we're all trained facilitators, we'll just get like technical questions about things in the town that we just can't answer. So having some professional staff available kind of in the meeting to answer some of those questions is really helpful. And then any participation in planning calls, meetings as needed, review and feedback on any of the collateral material. And again, Mayor Foley has already been heavily involved in reviewing and commenting on everything along the way. So, our next step, sorry.
I just want to be clear.
Sure.
The meeting itself will be fully open to the public.
Fully open, yes. Yeah.
Whether we are in quorum at the meeting, which is what
correct. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Meeting. So
yes, it is our meeting. We will advertise it to the public. As many people as want to attend can attend. It's an open registration. We like to have registration ahead of time, just so we know how many facilitators we're going to need. We don't like to, have groups larger than like 15 for discussions. So if we have, 50 RSVPs for the meeting, we know that we need, at least 4 facilitators so we can go into breakout rooms. So, so the registration helps, but, obviously we'll, when it comes time to open the meeting, we'll turn off the registration and people can just follow the link and join the meeting as well. It just helps us to plan better. But yeah, it's open to anyone, any, residents. And, we really did talk to Mayor Foley about focusing this effort on the needs of the residents. So even though the survey will identify if you're a resident or a visitor, we really want this quality discussion in the community planning workshop to be business owners and residents. So we're not going to open it up, we're not going to promote it much broader than that. Although if there are other stakeholders that you want to invite to participate, you're welcome. So we need to finalize the story map and survey and send it out into the community, finalize a workshop date. We've been talking about some timing with Mayor Foley. And then we would execute the workshop and prepare the report for you. So our goal is to kind of have everything done and wrapped up by the end of the summer, if possible. That includes executing the workshop and putting the report together. And I think that is the end of our presentation. So if any of the trustees have questions, we'd be happy to answer them. I know I kind of went through a lot quickly. I apologize. It's my New Jersey speech pattern. We talk fast.
Pretty quick up here on the Hudson Valley. I just want to say that this is a huge capacity expansion for the village. It's something that we are short-staffed and we have a small team of trustees. So this is a tremendous capacity expansion, and I'm really grateful to NIMTIC and Rutgers, and it's really great to work with fresh planning minds at the university. So do other trustees have questions or comments first for this team?
Actually, if you don't mind real quick, I just want to give Jacob an opportunity to introduce himself. He is the lead planner on the project. Just want to say hello real quick.
Hi, I'm Jacob Thompson. I'm a research project coordinator at the Voorhees Transportation Center, working on these the NIMTIC workshops and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, we had a great visit back when we were in town. So it's an exciting project, and we're looking forward to learning more. Thank you.
I have a question. Yes, my name is Aaron Freimark. I am a trustee. I just started in December, so I wasn't fully around when I think we first started engaging you. And as such, I feel like I'm a little bit catching up. But I do agree with the mayor. This appears to be a great expansion in capacity. But can you tell us a little more about NIMTIC and is it a nonprofit? Is it what's the main source of your funding? How many of these have you done at different times or are going on simultaneously? Just want to try and just get a bit of more of an understanding of the relationship here.
Sure. It'll be my pleasure. Hi, this is David Dritz. NIMTIC is the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council. We are a metropolitan planning organization. So by law, within the United States, if there's more than 50,000 people, we're required to organize a metropolitan planning organization to help plan for federal funding that comes into a region. And so the organization includes basically the 5 county executives that they are are members. The MTA is a member. The state is a member. The city of New York has 2 voting members: the city DOT and city planning. And we also have advisory members, which includes the Port Authority, the federal agencies that are involved in providing us with approvals and so forth. So that's generally, who NIMTIC consists of. In terms of, as part of the planning effort, we are required to develop a long-range regional transportation plan. In developing that plan, we also developed a coordinated development emphasis areas within the planning that were used to help identify communities that would benefit from the planning work that our workshop program is built upon. So there's a strong relationship between regional and local planning that has developed and that we have participated in for many years. We had a hiatus, but I guess we've had a couple of dozen workshops over the years. In its current iteration, we've had, I believe, this is the fifth workshop that we've produced, and we have at least, I believe, we have three final products on NIMTIC's website that we can share in the chat. A link to our website, and if you're interested in seeing the final product, we can go there and take a look at the body of work basically that our team has organized. So I hope that answers your question. If you have a follow-up, I'm happy to answer.
No, that was very, very helpful. Thank you for that. Of the workshops that you've done in the past, any good success story that you can share, maybe inspire the community a little around this process?
Sure. So each of these communities that participated in our program, they're competing right now for different types of state and federal funding. So the TAP, which is the Transportation Alternatives Program, that program is basically it just closed recently. So we're fingers crossed. We're hoping that the folks up in I guess it's North Castle that they're successful. In Hawthorne, there was a state fund, DRI, which is, I guess, it's the investment in the local central business district. There are funds that have been set aside for that they're competing for. So again, fingers crossed they'll be successful. So we've been right now providing a lot of the support for the work that these communities have worked with us on, and with a bit of luck and all the all of the information that has been built up, we will, they will be successful. So there are no guarantees, obviously, that when it comes to funding, it is a competitive process, but having the information, putting together it in packaging it and organizing it makes it more credible and a more competitive presentation. So so that's basically where we're at.
David, can you
very much.
talk about your relationship with Rutgers?
Sure.
NIMTIC's relationship with Rutgers?
Sure. Well, our relationship has been now for over about a year and a half. We have basically been working on a number of projects. I mentioned a few. So we did a project in North Castle, a project in Hawthorne, in Mount Pleasant. We did a project in Mahopac, is it? Yeah, Mahopac, which is in shoot.
Cross county from us.
That's right. It's quite close to you, right? And Valley Stream, of course, which we just did. So we had we've been very working on all of these projects together, developing all of the feedback and working with the community, developing a large body of research. So it's been a very good collaboration, and I could maybe answer a more specific question, because
Like like to draw out from one of you, potentially Miriam, the engagement with the planning department at Rutgers and what the interface is on the university side. So we have
Sure.
the public sector side with NIMTIC, and then the academic side with Rutgers.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So without like getting too much in the weeds, I'll just Rutgers University is part of what's called one of the university transportation centers. This is a program that is funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation that basically allocates certain universities to have research funds available that and basically like fast track access in some ways to other agencies to be able to hire to engage in any kind of research and development or public, in this case, workshops, technical assistance. So because Rutgers is involved in this UTC, that is why NIMTIC was able to bring us on the team. And so it's kind of like a special status that we have at Rutgers University through our colleagues. So without getting into kind of all the weeds of the contracting, that's why Rutgers is here on the team and perhaps not a university in New York, is because we have this status with the U.S. Department of Transportation as part of does that answer your question?
Yes, so you're drawing upon, as I understand, your team draws upon the geography department, the planning department.
Yes.
And
so we are all at the Blaustein School for Planning and Public Policy. Kate and Jacob and I work at the Voorhees Transportation Center. So we are a nationally recognized research institute that works in a variety of transportation projects around the country. We have a strong presence in New Jersey and New York, but we also are nationally recognized. We've done work for the Transportation Research Board, for FHWA, and we are a multidisciplinary team. So yes, Kate has her master's degree in geography, but she is part of the Voorhees Transportation team, and Jacob is an AICP certified planner, and I just kind of keep the wheels turning. So I'm the front face. I guess my master's degree is in economics, so it's a long story about what I'm doing here, working in urban planning. But yeah, that's a little bit about our team.
Any other questions or comments from trustees about process?
Well, you want to go first, please?
Okay, thanks. Well, this is really, it's great to have you on board, and grateful for the technical assistance. I guess because I'm on a computer, I was able to look at some of your past reports. So it gives me a sense of what those final reports look like. And I guess it's just an observation that it compiles all the information nicely, and it makes recommendations and links to funding. It is certainly not, like, my sense is that it's not a feasibility study. It doesn't look at, kind of the dimensions and whether that's, whether something, it's an earlier stage than that. And so, and maybe if there are ways that we can help you through the process to make it as substantive as possible to put us in better footing for funding, that's great. But just kind of recognizing the product that we'll get.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are, short-term engagement products. In fact, we've expanded what the community planning workshop program was initially designed to sort of do a workshop, summarize the workshop results, and hand it over. But we actually go a lot further than that in providing the detail and the recommendations that we're able to do, and with the story map and the survey. So we're kind of building out what kind of assistance we're able to provide.
And so then, do you recommend the next step is it generally to do a planning study, or are the municipalities you're working with then applying for construction funds? Like what does this set us up for next?
Well, in terms of funding, what it sets you up for is to apply for actual project funding, like the Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, for instance. In a TAP solicitation, you need to provide a robust explanation of what the project is going to be like. There are usually some socioeconomic demographic analysis that it needs to be provided to explain how a particular community is going to be impacted. And that's just one fund source. There are other fund sources that use similar methods to in the application process to get at how a project is going to achieve its goals. So and these solicitations are competitive. So you having a well-crafted application, one that you can actually point to that says that provides the a planned underpinning, that you can feel that the reviewers that are looking at your projects in the application can see that it's a thoughtful presentation. It has all the basics taken care of, that funds for those types of projects can be actually built. So and it's not going to include like a detailed design phase or things that take the project to the point where you can actually develop blueprints. But that for that stage, realistically, you would have to be selected, and usually there's funding set aside within within the program to build out your project to the point where it actually is going to get built. So it doesn't get you through to construction. It basically, if you look at it in terms of it's the PE, the preliminary engineering phase, and realistically, it's probably the first two parts of the PE phase that with the New York State actually uses for its project development. But it's yeah, I mean that's basically where it's at.
But I think what I'll just add real quick to what David said is that, I think what's unique about the way that Mayor Foley has helped us to really narrow in on very specific targets in town will help us to be a lot more detailed in what we're able to deliver for you. So, the projects have some of them have been very broad and some of them have really looked at, specific spot locations. And I think the fact that we have these 5 key things that we're looking at will help us give you a little bit more in-depth options and recommendations for those.
Great, thank you. And I think for the public, it's important to emphasize that there is an art as much as there is a science to drawing down state and federal dollars to the local level. It is a job. It's a job identifying grant programs that we're eligible for. I mean, thank God we have Laura on the team who's a public health professional, so she does this in her day job and has been helping us identify grant funding for storm recovery and for larger infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure we have to deal with. But, going from the big pool of all the things that are possible to identifying those things which are a match for the issues that you have, to then making the argument for why this particular project is deserving of these competitive funds, that is an enormous task. And having your help to identify options in these 4 locations and one system where we struggle at the local level, and where we are on our back foot because we don't have a prepared story to tell for the possibilities of how we might solve those problems. Not having that has been a handicap. So what this process I think will do, and what I feel very hopeful about, is unlocking that first step toward problem solving for ourselves and in our own community for the benefit of our residents.
And
So
when you put a grant application together, you'll be able to say, we heard from 700 residents that provided feedback that helped us to, you know, craft these recommendations. It's really like, you know, everything is from the ground up. And, you know, our hope is, and I can't quite remember which town it was, but one of the towns we worked with literally just copied and pasted text from our report into their grant application and used, you know, the narrative that we had prepared for you as, you know, your background for the grant application, you know, so it's kind of a huge step towards putting the application together.
Mhm.
If trustees don't have further questions, we do
I
have.
have a quick question for for you, Mayor Foley, and the
Yes.
rest of the board. Last week, we spoke about beginning a process to create a survey and a public forum on the fjord trail. I understand this is a different focus, but it's a very similar sort of pattern. What are your thoughts about coordinating the timing of those two distinct events?
Well, I think that it's a discussion that we need to have with Miriam and David and their team, because the timing of the Fjord Trails public discussion about its alternatives, when we began this process, that timeline wasn't known. But now we do know that timeline and can talk about that scheduling around. So as we've talked, Rutgers and NIMTIC team, we've talked about a large parks planning project that's happening adjacent to and within the village. And there is a lot of, obviously a lot of public interest in that. The organization that is heading up the design, working with Parks is the lead agency. They are about to unveil at the end of the month their alternative pathways through the village. If the trail were to go through the village, this is what they've looked at from a data perspective and a survey perspective in the village. And they are talking with residents in particular neighborhoods that are along a couple of the alternative routes. We as a board intend to get feedback from all across the village, so that as we engage with New York State Parks and DOT, a different arm of DOT, and with Fjord Trail going forward, we're sure that this body is representative in the views that it's expressing. We are not a permitting agency in the process, but we are an interested party to the process, and we'll be providing feedback along the way, including the DGIS process, et cetera. So Aaron is right that these things are coming together closer in time than we expected, and that's something that we should sort of talk about as we plan timing.
Okay, yeah, we can, you know, that's a good update. That's good to know. And so I guess, you know, doesn't have to be right here in this forum, but we should definitely try to map it out. Yeah, for sure.
Can I just jump on that question of Aaron's? Hi, this is Trustee Woods. Sorry, I'm not on camera. I think though, kind of like regardless of the Fjord Trail, these are questions that this village has struggled with answering. And so, you know, timing wise, I think it's kind of like, you know, maybe lucky, maybe not. I guess depends on your perspective. But I think regardless, these questions are questions that we need to ask and need solutions to. So, you know, I'm glad that this is happening simultaneously or not. This needs to happen now. So thank you.
Well, I think two tweets to your point. This discussion opens the realm of possibilities for the village itself, and the actions that the village can take to manage its own traffic issues, right? So that we're not simply, you know, the option here is Fjord Trail. It's okay, what are the range of options that we have to manage what is within our control?
Yes, completely agree.
Okay,
Just a logistical point, I would love to see the survey, the draft survey and story map, and provide any comments if you could share it.
sure thing.
That'd be great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Miriam, could you just send me the deck that you shared earlier?
This is village clerk asking.
Yeah, we can send you the deck, and we'll send you the link to the story map, and the survey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for spending time with us this evening, and public, stay tuned for next steps and timeline.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few items of business that fall into some broad categories. First, related to fire. Budgets, the town is on a different budget cycle than we are. So we enter a contract with Phillipstown for fire protection services via a fire protection agreement every year at the beginning of the year. It has been reviewed and signed by the town board and signed by the supervisor. We are asked to sign it tonight, and the resolution before us authorizes me to sign on behalf of the board.
I'd like to offer the resolution.
Okay.
Number 3-2024, authorizing mayor to sign contract with Phillipstown for fire protection services. Following resolution was offered by trustee Starbuck for adoption and seconded by.
Second.
Okay. Whereas there are properties located in Phillipstown referred to on the Phillipstown real property tax bills as Phillipstown Fire Number 1, that constitutes the designated area within Phillipstown to be served by the Cold Spring Fire Company Number 1, and whereas Cold Spring and the fire company are willing to provide fire protection services to Phillipstown for said properties under the terms and conditions of attached agreement. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that the village board does approve the agreement, that the mayor is authorized to execute said agreement.
Mayor Foley,
Aye.
trustee Bozzi,
Aye.
trustee Freimark,
Aye.
trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
and trustee Woods.
Aye.
Thank you.
Officially adopted by a vote of 5-0.
The next item also relates to the fire company. Volunteer firefighters qualify for a fireman's service award. It's a retirement program. To be eligible each year, the firefighters need to earn a number of points, and that's done with a combination of actual response to calls, training, meeting attendance, etc. And I must say, looking at this report, it is very impressive that this year you have to have a minimum of 50 to get points for the program. This year there are 12 firefighters who are at 70 or higher, and 7 who are above 85. So it's a real reinvigoration of the Cold Spring Fire Company, and it's wonderful to see. So I will make a motion for resolution 4-2024. The resolution is offered by me, Mayor Foley, for adoption, and seconded by trustee Bozzi. Whereas Article 11A of the New York State General Municipal Law requires that a list of volunteers who earned a year of service credit during 2023 be approved by the fire department and submitted to the Board of Trustees for review and approval. And whereas once approved, the list must be returned to the fire department so that they can be posted for at least 30 days as required by Article 11A. Therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Village of Cold Spring Board of Trustees has reviewed and approved the 2023 firefighter records listing. That's a roll call vote.
Mayor Foley,
Aye.
trustee Bozzi,
Aye.
trustee Freimark,
Aye.
trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
and trustee Woods.
Aye.
Officially adopted today by a vote of 5.
The next batch of things relate to storm and storm infrastructure. We have before us a continuation of our consulting agreement with Jersey Recovery Associates. It's the FEMA consultants who's been helping us prepare what we need to submit with FEMA and coordinate with FEMA and dishes. It's been wildly successful, and Michelle and I would be crushed by this work if we didn't have Chris. We signed an initial short-term contract with him to just sort of try it on for size and see if that would work for the village. It has worked very well, and I would ask to continue it for another 6 months, same concept and not to exceed amount, of $3,000 for the next 6-month period.
I'd make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Jersey Recovery Associates to continue this work.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Is that an aye, Aaron?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the next, all praise to Trustee Bozzi, and Mayor Winward. We have in front of us a submission for BRIC. Oh, you remember what BRIC means?
Building resilience
Something.
in communities. I'm not sure actually.
It's a FEMA program, related to planning for resiliency. As folks know, we had a lot of stormwater damage from the July storm. And what we need to solve the problems, we have work we need to do at each location, but we really need an H&H study that looks at the whole of our stormwater system and how it interfaces with the Nelsonville system and the state park system, and Phillipstown. So this request is for a technical assistance grant to fund an H&H study, and Laura has taken the lead on preparing it. Thank you very much. Would someone like to make a motion? This has just been submitted, yeah?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the submittal of the FEMA BRIC direct technical assistance request in partnership with Nelsonville.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Laura.
Great, yeah, I'll
Great
send
work.
it out tomorrow.
Any opposed? I didn't hear Aaron.
Aye.
Right on, okay. Okay, the next relates to a portion of our stormwater problem, which is the failed culvert along Cedar Street. It winds under Cedar Street, then under private property and back onto public property. It is storm after storm, unable to handle the water loads that are coming off the mountain. It needs a longer term solution. In the meantime, we need to find some short-term solutions to give relief to the property owners who are experiencing repeated flooding. And the first step to do that is cameraing, is that a verb? Sending a camera down to try to identify blockages that can be cleared at this point. Han Engineering put out the bid. They have recommended the firm that has a truck which has both the camera and going blank on the word. The Vector, yes, the Vector for back, but also a like a hose to spray this if there's stuff that can be pushed through, so that the work can be identified and dealt with at the same time.
So they can camera and like
They can
mitigate.
camera, and if they find something with a camera that they can address on site, they have the equipment on them on site to do it that day.
Got it. I see. High pressure jet altered.
High pressure jet, there we go. And this is, Jeff and Michelle worked together to find funding for this within our existing budget. There is a catch basin line that we normally use to rent a Vector truck. We can't use the Vector truck if we don't know what's going on down there. So it's a related use of the funds.
Do we expect it to be one day?
One day. We also don't know that we won't know till we get down there what's there. What's there may be in a condition that can't be cleared, but then that's another data point that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
We don't have any data points beyond this is the entrance and this is where it comes out on the other side of Main Street. Any discussion? Further discussion?
So this is a culvert colonoscopy, perhaps?
Exactly.
There we go.
The preparation is a bear.
Aaron, Mike just smiled, so I think you're in the paper with that.
And by the way, we have a Boy Scout on the call tonight, so go easy. Okay.
We can ask one other question. Yeah. If it's 2 days, we still have the budget for it. Like when you looked at the line item, it's sufficient to cover. Okay,
Yes.
then I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I make a motion. It's a resolution.
Yes, because we're accepting a bid.
Resolution 05, thank you. 05/2024, accepting the bid for video inspection of Cedar Street drainage. The following resolution was offered by Trustee Bozzi for adoption and seconded by
Me?
Mayor Foley to wit. Whereas James J. Hahn Engineering PC issued a request for proposals to conduct a video inspection to locate drainage pipes between Cedar Street and Main Street in order to evaluate the condition of the drainage pipes with the goal of determining options for mitigating flooding on Cedar Street during large storm events. And whereas 3 bids were received from with Errol's Construction Company Inc. submitting the lowest bid. Whereas James J. Hahn Engineering PC reviewed the 3 bids and made a recommendation to the Board of Trustees to accept the bid of Errol Construction Inc. And therefore, it is hereby resolved that the village awards the bid for the video inspection of the drainage pipes in Cedar Street to Main Street at a cost of $4,150 per day to Errol Construction Company.
Mayor Foley,
Aye.
trustee Bozey,
Aye.
trustee Freimark,
Aye.
trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
and trustee Woods.
Aye.
Thank you.
Officially adopted on this day, vote of 5-0.
So another step forward on our stormwater quest. Okay, the next is just a bit of housekeeping, with the Mayor's Park parking lot out of commission because of storm damage. We asked the American Legion if they would extend winter parking capacity at their lot on Cedar Street. They have done so. The villagers have been parking there for several storms now. This is a memorandum of understanding between us and them that identifies and indemnifies the Legion for the use of the lot for that purpose. And this is a simple motion, right, clerk?
Correct.
Just authorizing you to sign?
So I make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the memorial of understanding with the George A. Casey American Legion Post 275 for winter parking.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks.
She said aye.
Okay. Thank you very much to the Legion. It's been immensely helpful. And they've also been very helpful with letting us access that property to deal with flooding. Okay. We have a request to use Dockside Park for a wedding. It's not until October, plenty of time. There are a number of things in the Dockside permit application online that need to be dealt with. Insurance, locating the exact place the wedding will be on a map so that we know what areas of the park to close off, what to keep open. Because it is a public park, we can't completely shut it down. My recommendation with this, I did have a conversation with the bride today. My recommendation is that we hand this off to the events coordinator to hammer out all the details and make sure the application is complete and then bring it back to us.
Sounds good.
Okay, do we need them? Go ahead.
We don't have, I thought there was a restriction about events at parks for residents. So,
No, this is a state park.
okay.
Dockside is a state park.
Great, okay.
And there is the
But we
full,
still.
because under we have a contract for management of Dockside until 2028. We approve the events. So if you, on the website, there is a whole packet about renting Dockside for events. And this is
Only 20 pages long.
it's very long. It's very thorough. And it just, I think none of us have the time, and that's what we hired an events coordinator for. Great. So, okay, do we need a vote on it, Jeff?
No, you're basically tabling it for the link to that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last is related to an AARP grant. Do we have anyone from rec with us? No, okay. So Michelle, when Michelle gets grant notices, she forwards them on to whatever portion of the village might benefit. And one of the ones that she identified as a possibility for rec was an AARP grant. The grants are up to $20,000. Rec, and obviously it has to benefit residents who are 50 or over. Like, since when is 50 AARP? Okay, but it is. So, they have put together a narrative around a project they already had in mind to do there, but tailoring it to, folks 50 and over. They're asking for in the budget $3,000. I think it's fantastic that they're taking up this effort. They have until March 6th to turn it in. My thought is the mean grant that they usually give is $12,000.
Yeah.
So I think that rec should try to beef this up and ask for a little more, and
There's a
potentially.
dog park in there. Older people love walking their
Right.
dogs.
I would also say we have no accessible pathway in there. So what's the point of having an accessible bench if we don't have a path?
Yeah.
So it's one of those rare opportunities to actually pull funding in. I'd like to encourage them to expand their scope a bit.
Yeah, they also put clearly so much work into writing
Yes.
the text. I mean, it is so much work for $3,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they can build out the budget.
Any thoughts from our trustees in the audience? I mean, in the online world?
No, completely agree.
It might, I think I had a bad connection. Can you quickly describe what the project is or where it is? I missed that part. I'm sorry.
It's what we talked about last week, where we were asking for more information from rec. It's Mayor's Park. And it's a grant, it's a very open-ended grant from the American Association of Retired Persons to increase accessibility and programming for seniors in our public parks.
So the
Thank
things that the Parks Department are asking for in this grant request, pulling out things were like the striping for the shuffleboard and the, was it squash? Not squash. Pickleball. And then also some benches in Mayor's Park to sort of create places for people to rest. So those were the few things they sort of went after in their grant application, but I agree they can definitely like pile on a couple more things if they have the time and energy to do so.
I think it'll appeal to the funding source more too, if there's a, if it feels like a substantive project. There was a question last week of whether or not the village needs to match, and the answer is no. Michelle the treasurer had made a recommendation that rec consider using some of its existing funds as sort of a show of commitment to the project and say the village is putting X thousand dollars forward and we're asking for Y from ARP. I leave that to their discretion. I would encourage them to do so. I mean, they were spending the money anyway on the project, and that might also help their chances. So are we of consensus? Do we need to vote on anything, Jeff?
Well, to authorize them to pursue the grant.
Okay, so I will make a motion to authorize rec to pursue the grant with modifications expanding the scope of the request.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and then we're to minutes. Let's see, one of them, Aaron was not around for. So this first set, Aaron, you cannot vote on. It's January 10th. I had no modifications. Anyone else?
I have done.
No. Let's make a motion, someone? Thank you.
Oh, you did, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 1/10/24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
one option. I think we were all here on the 17th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for January 17th, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aaron, yes, no, maybe?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Thanks. And then we're on to bills.
All right, I'll take the bills. I make a motion to approve batch 7,249 for the amount of $27,244.51.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was an aye from
Aye.
Aaron. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, we've reached the end of our agenda. We have what looks to be two members of the public in the audience, one in the room. Would the board like to entertain comment?
Sure.
Yes. Okay, so I make a motion to entertain comment on the topics on the agenda.
Second,
All in favor? Aye. Aye.
aye.
Aye.
Okay, would any members of the public, now that we've gone through all that, like to make a comment? Hi.
Hi, you're gonna see me a lot.
And
I'm Rebecca, 13 Church Street.
are you speaking for Rebecca on 13 Church Street or speaking for Fjord?
I'm speaking with my half of the Fjord Trail.
Okay, great.
I just
Thank
want to make sure that I expressed that I corrected. I'm not sure if the explanation for the event in March. I just want to make sure that
Yeah, go ahead.
everyone on the board understands that it's going to be a review, a review of the work that was completed by SLR Consulting on the alternative analysis. So it'll be a review of the routes that were explored and how the preferred alignment came to be. So it's so it's not necessarily gonna be a feedback in terms of the work that was
From the
completed.
public, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
just because when you mentioned it, I couldn't tell from.
Oh,
the
let me clarify that I mean, this board intends to take comment on your presentations. That's what we talked about last week.
Yeah,
So you're having your meeting and doing what you do, and then we are convening as a board to hear what the public has to say on your.
I thought you were saying that, the public was going to be able to, from the alternative route analysis. I just want to make sure that you knew that the public.
That you're not taking comment at that
That's
session.
not-
Got
that's
it.
not Feedback.
Yep.
The feedback component will come for the shoreline design concept.
Great. Okay, thanks. We'll be taking comment on both of those subjects. Okay, great. Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hi. Aaron, safe travels.
Hi, hi. Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.